What's up guys, so it's official and it's booked. Conor McGregor is coming back to take on Donald Cerrone, and the event was sold out in just a few minutes, pulling in $10 million. I mean, Conor McGregor's star power never ceases to amaze me. I mean, this is a fight for the fans and it's such a good fight, and in my opinion it's a very interesting matchup. A lot of people I hear are discrediting this fight, which I honestly don't understand, as I think Cowboy is a difficult matchup for Conor, and by no means is he being gifted a win. Conor will have to work for this win because Cerrone is a dangerous fighter, but more importantly he is a striker himself, so he understands the stand-up game, and I think there will be a lot of subtle traps being placed by both the fighters. I think Conor is looking to make a statement in this fight, and he needs to make one because so much has happened in his life that has really had a negative impact on his personal image, and he's of course trying to recover from that, but a strong performance is something that Conor desperately needs. I'll try to break this fight down in this video to see who's going to win here, but it's good to have Conor back. Now this fight is a much better fight stylistically for Conor than the Khabib fight. I expect this to be a stand-up fight for the most part, as Conor is a master striker and likes to set up those traps like we saw in the Eddie Alvarez fight, and is a phenomenal counter striker which we saw in the Diaz fights. I really think that the early rounds will be crucial here for Conor because Cerrone, as we know, is a slow starter, unlike Conor, who likes to wrap it up early, with most of his finishes being in the earlier rounds. I think we can expect Conor to take the center of the octagon, and he will be looking to push Cerrone back, forcing him to just react and throw something. We know Conor is a phenomenal counter striker, and Cerrone has a habit of chaining together his combinations and overreaching at times, which has got him into trouble in the past when he's trying to cut the distance off between him and his opponent. I can just see Conor enticing Cowboy by leaving a very open guard and his chin up in the air, and he uses this to encourage his opponents to come forward and just throw something and get countered by that left hand, which is just so precise. Let's take a look at a few clips where Conor does this, and I want to use his fights with Nate Diaz as an example because I feel we need to be looking at these fights because Cerrone has a very similar build to Nate Diaz. In these clips you can see how Conor leaves a very open stance with his chin up in the air unguarded, encouraging Nate to throw a punch, and when he does, Conor either moves his head back slightly or to the side to avoid the punch and then quickly explode off his back foot to throw that counter left to catch Nate. It's just a tremendous counter punch which requires so much control. But executing that counter strike by leaning back, shifting your body weight and then erupting at the exact time to strike is very draining and requires a lot of dynamic movement. I mean, you can try this yourself where you pull your head back, shift your body weight to your back leg and then explode off that back leg in almost a single movement, and you can just see how much control and explosiveness it requires, which of course is very difficult to maintain over multiple rounds, which is why Conor looks so much more sharper in the earlier rounds and his punches carry so much power because he's exploding with every punch, and later on this diminishes and he tends to lose that pop in his punches. And this takes us to the million-dollar question. Just how good is Conor's endurance? I mean, looking at the pictures that Conor has released, he looks huge and he's clearly put on some muscle mass, but that's a bit concerning because Conor has never really had the best gas tank, and putting on even more muscle mass means he's likely to gas out even quicker. So I'm not really sure what Conor's game plan here is, whether he's looking just for a quick KO or if he's been working on his endurance all this time. He's been away for some time, so we don't really know what he's been up to. Well, we do kinda, but training wise is what I meant. Anyway, I just see Conor having the speed advantage early on in the fight, as he will be much more dynamic and will have the better timing. But Cerrone has a real shot to beat Conor, I feel, using his kicks to keep Conor away and chopping down on his legs. Alvarez tried this and had some success getting Conor off balance. Cerrone can mix things up by shooting for takedowns. I know that's not his game, but just to keep Conor guessing and stop him from being so sharp on his feet. This is exactly what happened in the Khabib fight. In the first round, Khabib just shot for a takedown and just held on to Conor's legs, not giving him a chance to figure out his range. And that ended up disrupting Conor's rhythm, and he just could never recover from that. And he was expecting the takedown but ended up getting caught by the wrestler's overhand right, which was normally the trigger for Conor to throw his left in his previous fights. Now Cerrone has other options where he can just target the low kicks and just try to slow down Conor and then mix things up with the high kicks. But Cowboy needs to be careful here and not get overwhelmed by Conor's pressure in the beginning, which might end up causing him to make a mistake and just charge in like he did in the Gaethje fight. If that happens, Conor will just snipe him and put him away. Cowboy definitely has all the right skills to really test Conor in the stand-up department. Cerrone just has so much experience and he sets up those kicks so well that his opponents just never realise what they were hit by. Ernest Chavez did a brilliant breakdown on how Cerrone sets up his kicks that I would really recommend watching to see the brilliance of Cowboy's stand-up. His kicks are just so vicious, and with Conor leaving a very open stance, Cowboy could connect with one of those and end the fight, or at the very least earn Conor's respect and give him something to think about in the octagon. Regardless of what happens, this truly is a very exciting matchup and I can't wait for this fight. Every time you're fighting Conor McGregor, you're also fighting the pressure that comes along fighting in front of a massive audience, but I think Cerrone will not be intimidated by that as he's a veteran. And Conor, I just think he genuinely has that hunger again, and I feel that loss to Khabib was necessary to propel him to new heights. You can say what you want about Conor, but he is always willing to put himself on the line and willing to lose and learn from his mistakes. And I just think he's going to be driven and prepared for his comeback, because if he isn't, Cerrone is not a fighter you want to be unprepared for, as he will finish you. In my humble opinion, I see Conor catching Cowboy in the second round and finishing him, as I think Cowboy might try forcefully push Conor back and will end up creating an opening that Conor can exploit. But that's at least my prediction. Please feel free to leave what you think is going to happen in this fight in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, as it helps me grow and I truly appreciate any support from you guys. Thanks.